So good morning, everybody. I'm Stuart Hamilton. I chair the Caribbean Water Loss Specialist Group. And today we're going to have a session on NRW, where we're going to talk about what's been going on in the region and where we're going and what is being done and how we can move forward. We've got three speakers today. We've got Noam Komy, who is the Chief Growth Officer for Miya Water. We have Mario Tavera, which is based in Bahamas, which will talk about the Bahamas case study. And we have Alvaro Ramalho, which is from Jamaica, and he will talk about how they're doing the projects in NWC. Now we're going to start in a minute. And just before we start with Noam, just a thing, if you've got any questions you wish to ask, there's the chat box at the bottom. Post your questions in there, because when we've finished, we will have questions and answers. So please, anything you've got as we go along, we'll ask them all at the end. So with that, I won't take any more of the time up. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Noam Komy. Noam is the Chief Growth Officer for Miya Water. He's been in the water industry for possibly 10 years now. And before this, Noam was a lawyer. So he knows all the side of the legal entities. And what he's going to talk about is the concept of how you do things in NRW, the bigger picture, what we don't normally look at. So I thank you for that, and over to you, Noam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good morning, wherever you are in the Caribbean or in other places. I must say that it is still a bit sad for me not to be present in the Caribbean for this conference. I did visit the region only 3 weeks ago, and it was very, very nice to be there again. So I was lucky to catch a bit of the spirit of the Caribbean for a short work visit. And hopefully next year we can all meet in person. I want to give you today a bit of an overview of who we are as a company, what do we want to do, and how we do things. Miya was established in 2007. Our mission from our shareholders from the get-go was ensuring a supply of water look at a water utility in a very broad view. So we look at all aspects that you can imagine in a water utility. We look how we can get more for less, and how we can utilize our resources in the most productive and most efficient way. Why is that so important? We're losing in average in the world around a third of the water supply, of municipal water supply, due to water losses. This is one phenomenon of inefficiency we treat, and this is something that we have specialized in the Caribbean region for many years. We have performed flagship projects in Bahamas, in Jamaica, and I have my colleagues here to present them, so I won't go into the depth of those projects in my presentation. Just to say that what we found in the Caribbean is, I would say, the best compelling conditions to perform non-renewable water projects. The need is there. The price of everything in the Caribbean is high. I would say every resource is scarce, almost by definition. Most of the countries are island countries, and that creates a certain reality for the economies of these countries in a very unique situation, which is, on the one hand, fragility in terms of natural resources, and on the other hand, strong reliance on natural resources to actually sustain themselves with tourism, agriculture, etc. So there is a huge need. The level of water loss in the Caribbean is very high. I won't go into numbers, but I would say that many utilities suffered from very high water loss compared to what they can be or what they can perform. The thing is, then what we need to understand is that everyone and anyone can improve. We don't do everything the best. We're not the best company in everything. I would say that we are global leaders in this specific aspect of efficiency in a municipal water system. From our experience, and we will show that again in the next presentations, the value generated for the communities and for the utilities is immense, both financially and I would say from a resource and ecological point of view, because the savings are immense and they can be achieved not necessarily by deploying the largest amount of capital into the ground in building new facilities or building new pipes. I would say the easiest solution sometimes that people take to counter water shortages is to just provide more supply. Doing that is important. We do not negate that, but doing that without a strong program to control your water losses just creates a bigger problem. We learned that in many places we worked in, and we also feel that on our own bodies and flesh, as we are not only a provider of these efficiency services, we actually manage our own water utilities in Europe. And in these water utilities, we take the same steps that we provide to our clients. And I'm very proud to say that these utilities are the most efficient in Europe in terms technically, and the most efficient financially, economically. We want to bring that efficiency to the Caribbean. We have found amazing partners and amazing workforce to work with. The people that worked and work with us in places like Bahamas and Jamaica, we found them, it would be absolutely impossible without the clients that were committed to these processes. And we found the amazing employees we managed to find. And I'm going to say something a bit blunt, but I think it's fair. We all know what people think and say about people from this area of the world. Okay, people also have prejudice from where I come from. And people always think it's an inefficient work environment, that people are slow, that they don't want to work hard. This is absolutely a fallacy, and we should never agree to that narrative. Why do I say that? I base that on a simple fact. We use local workforce and we get much better results with other systems of management that we bring from our experience. The same people that worked before and were inefficient become extremely efficient because they are motivated in the right way and they are trained in the right way. And I strongly believe, and we see that everywhere we work, and I would say in Jamaica, it is absolutely amazing because we work with NWC's employees. And this partnership and the commitment from the client, from the NWC team, and from the local team that works with us is absolutely amazing. And it turned the situation of water losses in Jamaica and made it an issue that is resolved in Metro Kingston area and is now rolling, and hopefully we will roll throughout the island to do something that is extremely important to solve that issue for the whole island of Jamaica. And we see amazing results, amazing workforce, and I'm confident 100% that Jamaica will also see Jamaican employees of ours going to new islands like Trinidad and Tobago, like Puerto Rico, like Barbados, and other places that we intend to try to working in the future. And I think it's an amazing hub for us. So I'll now continue. This is where we are located. In projects that we have performed, you can see that it's very varied. We worked in very different environments and very difficult environments from our engineering and point of view. What we find everywhere is that the issues can be solved, and if there is commitment and partnership and alignment of interest between us and our clients, they will be solved, and they will be resolved whatever the conditions are. These are a few of the awards we received throughout the years. I won't go through that. I want to tell you a bit about the overall amount of water that is lost every day, just to give you the proportion. So every day we lose water that is enough to supply 2 billion people, which means essentially we have enough of the resource. We have enough. We just need to manage it properly and respect it. I think that most of you are water professionals. I would say all of you almost will agree that our profession and our services do not get the value perception that they deserve. I think that people don't understand how important is your job and how important and vital it is to do what we do. And I think we should be very, very proud. And I think that we should be very proud to see this number of water losses being cut by half in the next 10 years, which is something that is highly possible, which means that we can supply water for the world to another billion people. It's ambitious, but all the world goes and tries to do that, and people who think in a way that prioritizes efficiency, it's something that can happen. This is the annual cost or value in monetary terms of water losses. So we're talking approximately $40 billion. It's a huge number. To fix the problem will be much cheaper than that, as we are talking about an annual cost that is accumulating over time and situations that are also worsening over time. I think that why is this number relevant? It's not really relevant as just a number, but it shows us that there is also should be financial motivation for our governments, for the banks, for the funding agencies that we all work with and appreciate, like the Inter-American Development Bank, the World Bank, etc., to pool resources to these issues, as they are worth billions for the governments and for the publics that we serve. Now, the Caribbean, as I said, for Miya has been for the last almost 9 years a hub. And we're not there also by chance, I would say. If you can see the highest value in monetary terms of water losses is in Latin America and the Caribbean. That's just a calculation, it's an estimation, but I think it makes a lot of sense. I will share a bit of the approach that we use for our programs, but I think, again, Mario and Alvaro will go into further details. I'll try to keep it short and less technical. In general, what we do in a typical efficiency project or water loss reduction project is those 4 steps that you see in front of you. In-depth analysis, a work plan, implementation, and then maintenance. Maintenance is a critical key that many times is not part of projects, and it is absolutely essential to integrate, as we want to also train the clients and the staff to carry on with the activities after the project starts. This sounds a bit, I would say, vague, but what I want you to take from here, which I think is very important, is that the solution needs to be planned, but also flexible. If we only plan and try to execute, like most water utilities around the world do, which is you provide a bill of quantities or a plan or engineering plan, and then you go execute it, this is not an ideal way to create efficiency and to reduce water losses. You want your contractors to be in constant analysis of the system and taking decisions day by day that will produce you a result. And I urge you to demand from your suppliers, including us, results. Pay people for results. Do not pay them for just works. Okay? It's always a combination between a performance component and a fixed component. But if we do not challenge the contractors to actually get the result, they will continue to provide services or quantities of civil works, but not what we need, which is what you need, a water loss reduction and a number that you want to get to make sure your utility is sustainable. I'm here, I'm going to skip a bit this slide this is all the technical components that we include. It's very varied. I would say that there are dozens of different activities and types of activities performed in such a program. It's very important that this will be all centralized and not performed in separate, I would say, entities within an utility and within an organization. There is a critical connection between things like billing and metering and active leakage control and pressure management, etc., etc., etc. In most or many utilities, these activities are separate. We need to bring them all together, and that's what we do as part of our projects, is to bring them all together and look at them holistically. Okay. I think I touched this point of, again, production of new resource is much more expensive and difficult than managing your efficiency. This is a bit in the top. 1 second. I'm going to skip a bit of the technical slides, which I think you will get a good view from in Mario's and Alvaro's slides. And I'm going to talk about what a successful NRW program looks like in a high level. And I'm going to focus just for again, we will have someone presenting Bahamas and Jamaica. So I will focus on Manila. And I'm going to tell you a bit of a story that also has a financial and investment angle. And I want you, please, if you can, to take from this that your utilities have huge amount of value as well. And that if we do things right, we can generate a huge amount of value. So in Manila, the Philippines was, I would say, a disastrous water utility for many years. It was governmentally owned, came into a situation that around 60% of the water was lost in the network, and millions of people, literally millions of people, did not receive water to the tap, despite the fact that there was service lines, etc., to their homes. And it's a place that is, I would say, very wet, very tropical, and should have enough water for everyone. Later on, Manila was managed for a while by a French, one of the French operators. It encountered immense difficulties, technically and financially, and collapsed. The utility was bought by local investors, and I must say that the main thing that they did was to understand very, very fast that if they don't treat this issue of water losses and efficiency, they will collapse operationally and financially. The minute they had that in mind and that focus in mind, they went out and looked for a solution. We were very lucky to meet them. And we performed a 5-year contract for them in half of the city of Manila. Manila, the Philippines, is around 18 million to 20 million people. We served half of the city, of approximately 9 million inhabitants in that area. And when we entered Manila, we faced a situation, and I think you can all imagine how a city with 20 million people looks like. You know, it's very, very busy. Traffic is insane. Very difficult in working conditions from every aspect that you can imagine. A very old network, mostly from the beginning of the 20th century. So no surprise, they were losing 2/3 of their water supply. We entered there, and I'm very proud to say that in 5 years, we have managed to reduce that from around 2/3, 67%, to around 34%. That allowed us to support the connection of 2.7 million clients to the network, And that changed completely the whole operation of that utility. So in 5 years, which is a long time, I would say, and 1 year of maintenance, but usually in utility terms, 5 years is not something that we cannot, I would say, imagine. We should plan for these periods of time. In 5 years, business and our utility that was completely failing and collapsing became an absolute financial powerhouse in Southeast Asia. These investors that we met in 2008 sold portion of the business to a Japanese investor after these 5 years for 4 times the valuation that they bought the business. So that's a 400% increase in value. That happens, you know, in Google or Facebook or Tesla or things like that. It doesn't happen in utilities. But what does that mean, I think, for everyone, I hope, listening to us? There is value in your water system. You do not have to privatize the water system to retain that value, but you have to make it efficient. And you have to involve the private sector in order to get it into a place that it becomes an asset. I think that in almost all Caribbean countries, the water system, if you look at it from the perspective of the country, is a liability. It's a problem. It's not a positive thing. And we're telling you very strongly, this can become a very positive aspect of the economics of your countries. It can attract investors. It can make money for the country and improve the livelihood of everyone. And of course, the safety and security of our water resources. So with that, I would like to finish. Thank you very much. And I will pass it back to Stuart.
Okay, thank you, Noam. An excellent insight to how you can produce a successful NRW project. And if anybody got any questions for Noam, enter them into the chat box and we can ask them at the end. I will next move on to Mario Tavera. Mario is a PhD, so is Dr. Mario Tavera, which I always smile when I say it because he's a close friend and I've known him for many, many years. Mario has been in the water industry for in excess of 25 years and worked across Europe and in parts of Africa and also into the Bahamas. Mario's been there now, he's the project manager of the project there. So without further ado, I'll hand it across to Mario to talk to us about the successes and the issues he's had in the Bahamas to reduce the water losses there. So thank you, Mario, over to you.
Thank you, Stuart. Right. Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. And for me, it's a privilege to present this project in which so many people work in the past years. So I'd like to thank you all the staff that work locally and also in the headquarters. For Miya, the IDB that designed and tendered this project in 2009, and also the Water and Sewerage Corporation that we have been working with in the last 9 years. This is the last year of the project. My presentation is divided into 3 parts: an introduction, background to the project, what was going on before the starting of the project itself, its strategy and the main results, and the last 2 slides about the lesson learned from the project itself. I'm going to skip this, which was very well explained by Noam. I believe everybody is familiar with the non-revenue water concept, NRW, which is basically the difference between the water supply and the revenue water. Basically, we have 3 components: the apparent losses, the real losses, and the unbilled authorized consumption. Usually, the operators often, this also was mentioned by Noam in the previous presentation, try to tackle the NRW doing what we consider is 3 mistakes. 1, increasing production. So pouring more water into a leaking system will just increase the amount of water lost, and the water price also will most likely rise. The second one, replace all the water pipes and infrastructure. This is realistic and also very costly. Or the third, tackling only one aspect of the NRW. So outside of a comprehensive approach that as Miya we usually do, with a 4-steps approach that also was mentioned by Noam. The first is the analysis, the system. The second one, design a strategy and a work plan. The third one, the implementation of the plan. And the fourth part is the maintenance, which is probably the most original part of this project. I've been working in a different company with the same optimization project water supply system, and this maintenance part was always skipped or missed. And in the Bahamas project, that has been very important. The project is being developed in the most populated island of the Bahamas. Here we have a map. Around 250,000 inhabitants, 40,000 customers, and this is a 10-year project. In order to understand the context and the importance of the impact that this project had in the Bahamas, in Providence, I like always to remember that up to 2011, the corporation was forced to barge water from Andros on a daily basis because the production was not enough. Then in 2011, there was an extension of the Arrow plant, but even though the government was thinking to increase the production because the demand was kept increasing, and also there was a new resort, one of the biggest resorts in the Caribbean, which is the Bamar, that would have been built in the next few years. In 2012, the project started. Prior to this, there were done mainly calming measures on the system with some expert assistance, some part of liquidation, and another NRW reduction project of 2 years between 2005 and 2007. But the problem was not solved. So with the help of the Inter-American Development Bank, it was designed a 10-year long-term project that finally got the best results with respect to what was done prior to this. The starting point in 2012 was a no-revenue water of almost 6%. 7 million imperial gallons per day were lost. And this was higher than the revenue, which were around 5 million gallons per day. Considering the cost of the salinization, which also mentioned from Noam, that was very, very, very costly compared to the US, for example. So this project was designed to repay itself within its lifespan. Over 10 million imperial gallons will be saved. And the project size was 83 million, in which 51 million were financed directly from the IDB with a loan. The 4 phases of the project are still the analysis, the baseline, strategy, the implementation, and maintenance. Let's have a look on the strategy, which is very complex, very comprehensive. Probably I will need like 2 hours to describe each point of the strategy. I'm going to miss for sure something, but at the end I will give you my mail. So if you have any question at the end of the session, we can address some specific. The main components are advanced pressure management, control from critical points instead to use fixed outlet in most of the cases. Replace all pressure reducing valve and bulk meters already installed from previous projects. Creation and implementation of district metered areas. Control of zone boundaries with the lockable debris cap. Active leak detection and repair done on a daily basis. And also in the implementation phase, the first 5 years of the project, Miya was also doing physical work like leak detection repair, as I mentioned, but also selective service line replacement and disconnection of inactive service. These 2 points are important because in the analysis we found out that the most of the leaks were occurring, about 90%, on the service connection. So we put a big effort on replacing the weakest part of the system and replace it. The use of a unique platform in which all the data come every day, so the system can be monitored from a unique platform, which is called net-based. The installation of pressure tappings, average and critical points, exercise system valve, use of data loggers. Now we are replacing the GPRS with the new generation of the loggers. By the way, the installation of large revenue meter right sizing, especially for the largest customer of the island, which allows us to increase the revenue water from 5 million per day up to 7.3.4, which is an increase of around over 40%. And also all the other activities that can help to improve the efficiency of the system, the hydraulic modeling, the use of the SCADA system to monitor water into supply, any other recommendation for the pump efficiency, for the assessment maintenance of the unreliable asset on the GIS, and a part of social program that we kept doing every year in order to sensibilize even more the population on the use of the water. Those are the main results for the implementation phase between 2012 and 2017. All the numbers that can reflect all the effort that Miya did on the physical works in the roads every day. And after 2017, we started the maintenance phase, 5 years, in which we delivered all the physical works to water and sewage. Here you can see the 32 pressure zone, which is in which was divided the island. And the pressure management is something that has to be adjusted and done constantly, according to the complaints, according to the expansion of the areas, etc. And these 32 pressure zones were divided into 89 district metro areas that we use to monitor on a daily basis in order to prioritize our effort in terms of liquidation. During the maintenance phase, we keep doing maintenance of all the equipment installed during the previous phase, which is a lot of work and also it's costly because we need to replace flow meter, loggers, even PRV sometimes, etc. Pressure management, as I said before, we need to ensure that the average pressure in the system is always 25 psi. So we need to adjust if needed according to the targets. Boundaries control. Only Miya can operate the boundaries control. The boundaries are the values that allows us to divide the system into pressure zone and into DMAs. The liquidation is still the core of our work. We prioritize, we analyze each DMA on a weekly basis. According to this analysis, we prioritize our effort on liquidation, and then we pass the leak to the water and sewage in order to have them repaired. And we kept, of course, taking an eye on the apparent loss, although this component is not that high, specifically in the Bahamas. But it was very important, besides the fact that the right sizing and the installation of the new meter to the large customer meter was very important at the beginning. Here you can see the main results up to date, up until August. On the left, the blue line is the water into supply, the red line is the revenue water, and the green line is the NRW. We had a spike in the, we constantly decrease the NRW until mid-20, and then the pandemic, as everybody, created some issue on getting the backfilling materials for repair leaks in order to get all the stuff available. And we experienced some challenge along the corporation, but now we are back on track and we are decreasing again up to the early target, which is 2 million gallons per day. We basically, as I said before, increased the revenue water over 40% and decreased the NRW over more than 60%. Now, this is one of the issue that the lesson learned that I will also detail later on. In the contract, we have a service level agreement in which in the maintenance phases, the corporation should have repaired the leaks in a certain number of days. This was not done always, especially for the pandemic in the last 2 years. And we create a methodology in order to calculate a further NRW reduction if the leaks were repaired on time. So we can see on the right figure that we could have achieved even better results if this service level agreement were always followed. A slide in order to highlight the importance of technology that accompany us during all the 9 years of the project for data handling, using the platform for data handling, the GIS, the SCADA for the pressure management. We were the first in the region to use the critical points as a way to control the pressure instead of using fixed outlet. The leak detection, we use all kinds of technology. Stuart was working for us in the first years of the project, training the guys, but also bringing all the possible available technology, newest, in order to improve even more our production of leaks. The training handover is a key factor for the project. That was a concern from the IDB since the beginning. We did several training during the years, but we are currently preparing the start operating procedure to deliver to water and sewerage. During the maintenance phase, during this phase, sometimes we lack information about the leaks repair. That's also difficult our analysis of the system. The service level agreement, as I mentioned before, maybe it should have been drafted with more clarity on the contractual level, because it's not clear. Is it clear that the leak has to be repaired between 2 and 5 days? But it's not clear what is going to happen if this is not going to happen. It is not happening. So after the project, we recommend implementation of advanced company management software with all the KPI to be addressed. A master plan, the option to study if a PPP could be possible, and also to keep up with the new technology, because technology every 5 years has to be readdressed and see if we have anything, especially for legislation, any new tool, no, to improve the efficiency. Also, the smart metering, something that is taking place all around the world, always more and more. So this is basically the presentation. Is a lot of information. I hope it has been clear. If you have more questions, you can put in the chat or write me an email. Contact me. Thank you.
Excellent indeed, Mario. A superb job you have completed in the Bahamas, and I congratulate you on that. Like you said, I worked with Mario many years ago to when they first started there with some technology, and he has done an excellent job there. So now we move on from Mario onto the final speaker, which will be Alvaro. Alvaro is based in Jamaica. I believe now been working in Kingston and moved to another region now with NWC, the water company there. And I'll hand across to Alvaro. Soon, Alvaro, while you get your screen, I'll give a very brief introduction. Alvaro has been in the water industry again for excess of 20-25 years. Spent considerable time in Africa working in Angola and Mozambique region before he moved across into the Caribbean. Again, very experienced, qualified engineer, and an excellent work ethic of professionalism. So with that, I'll hand across to Alvaro to give us our final presentation of this session. Thank you, Alvaro. You're on mute, Alvaro, still, sorry.
Good morning. and good afternoon for the ones that are in the other side of the world. First, I want to introduce my co-management partner, Jermaine Jackson. He's here seated because this is not a regular program. This is an NRW program with co-management, where we partner with the local utility, and we work alongside every day with the staff of NWC and the equipments and the tools of NWC. And we brought our expertise and we did the history that we're going to tell for the next couple of slides. The presentation has three parts: the history NWC part that is very relevant to understand why we are in this situation of co-management, and finally, the main results. For the National Water Commission, I will ask kindly my friend Jermaine to talk about it.
Hi, hello everybody, and thanks Alvaro for giving me the opportunity here to just give a brief synopsis on this program that we undertake. The NWC had to undertake a number of non-revenue water reduction initiatives in the past. This has included back in the late 90s, early 2000, whereby we have done a program supported by the Japan Bank for International Corporation. We did a non-revenue water reduction program in the southern end of the country. It included, UFW reduction and unaccounted for water reduction initiative. We did focused mains replacement activities, installation of some bulk flow meters, and there was also an institutional strengthening component to assist with improving our asset management initiative. Moving from there, in 2005, we engaged an international contractor to do another non-revenue water reduction program, but however, this is in the northern section of the island. Again, this program involved doing metering exercises, both for the production facilities as well as the customer metering in red areas, are the term socially challenged areas. There were also pressure management activities, creation of DMAs and the likes. In fact, it's a similar approach to what we did in the case in that there were some level of involvement of NWC staff members. And moving to where we are with the Kingston and St. Andrew, that started in 2015, which we will get into more detail as the presentation continues. And we are also doing a pre-feasible study to look at doing another non-revenue water initiative, perhaps island-wide. But what I want to mention is that the past activities that we do, what we find is that when the contract has ended, you find that the NRW has not been sustained thereafter. And it's a matter of us looking to see how we can bridge that gap, so to speak. And that is what gave birth to this co-management initiative. Again, as mentioned, why we undertake it in a co-management arrangement, because as I mentioned, the NRW is not really sustained after the contractor has departed. In terms of capacity building, yes, you will have training, but if the staff are not actively involved, then you find that it will not be sustained in the future, in the near future, so to speak. And of course, we do want to be exposed to international best practices and benefit from a wide spectrum of water technologies. Now, what is this co-management arrangement? The idea is that there is one common project team for this initiative. So yes, you have two parties, which is Miya and NWC. However, it's just one common project team for this initiative. Miya, of course, they have the expertise, as I've mentioned in previous presentations. So they would have provided the various NRW specialists who would serve as the team leads. Now, NWC would have their management staff, what we term shadow or work closely along with Miya personnel. When it comes down to execution of the activities, NWC operational staff are the one that takes the lead. So when it comes down to the leak detection, leak repair activities, updating GIS and the likes, NWC persons are the one that will carry out these activities. Again, NWC will be responsible for providing the necessary equipment, tools and equipment, whether excavators, backhoes and the likes. In this case, Miya would have they took charge in carrying out the procurement activities so as for us to be efficient and buy the right material at the right time. Now, all of these activities were overseen by a program steering committee. And fortunately for us, we had the president of NWC was the one that chaired this committee, which is very good for utility to have your capital involved in that. And from a contractual point of view, all the activities that took place in the contract was bound by what we term the co-management responsibility matrix. Now, I just want to briefly mention that the NRW approach that we took is one that followed the IWA methodology, International Water Association methodology, whereby focus was on both the physical and commercial loss reduction. Now, if you look at the physical side of things, it is important that you have an active leakage control program, whereby you have persons assigned to carry out weekly, daily leak detection activities. And what's important to note is that the leaks that are need to focus are the ones that are you can't see with the eyes, non-visible ones. And now when you find these leaks, it's also important that you repair them in a timely manner. The speed in which you carry out these repairs is very important. Of course, another initiative with reducing the physical losses, is pressure management activities, as well as looking at your assets. And then the other spectrum of things is the commercial loss. Whether it be meter replacement, see how you handle your data, and removing illegal connections and the likes. What I want to mention is that this NRW reduction, it is a holistic approach in which there needs to be unification between all the relevant activities, whether it is physical or commercial. So the KSA NRW program, which is the Kingston St. Andrews NRW program, it had 4 main phases, and from the other presentations I noticed that they follow a similar pattern. It actually commenced in September of 2015 and went for a duration of 6 years. The 4 main phases as listed there are the preparation and audit phase, execution, consolidation, sustainability phase. Now in the preparation phase, of course, this is where validation was done, site investigations and the likes, measurements were taken, and the NRW strategy and action plan was created by our partner here. A workshop was also done to have a meaningful discussion on the strategy that is to be employed to reduce the NRW and the likes. Now, with regards to execution, that is where all the major activities take place. Now, key to this is the training of NWC staff. So training plans were developed from the preparation, but they were implemented in the execution phase. In fact, over 300 NWC staff were trained. And of course, you'll have your leak detection exercises, leak repair, pressure management, creation of pressure zones, DMAs, and the likes. All of this take place in the execution phase. Now, phase 3 and 4 is somewhat of a gradual transfer of the responsibilities fully over to NWC. Now, in the consolidation phase or phase 3, NWC would assume partial responsibility for some areas where Miya, our partner, would actually be there to assist. And now for the sustainable phase, NWC will take full responsibility of all the activities, including all the data collection, the analysis, the reporting, everything, while Miya will be there to just not sit back and relax, but to ensure that we're continuing on the path that they have created. Now, I think Alvaro will continue. We'll just highlight some of the progress that has taken place under the case.
Thank you, Jermaine. Great presentation. For this program evolution, we want to use this multidimensional graph that is on your left to show that we started from finding 354 leaks per month, but now at year 6 years later, we are finding 1,220. And repair side, we were starting with 265, and today we repair more than 246 leaks per month. So you can see clearly that in 6 years, it was not a straight line as the graph represents, but it was ups and downs, lessons learned, immense challenges. But we can aptly say that the trend was always going up. and that was visible by the results that we achieved. Also, on the pressure management side, we installed 170 DMAs, 150 PZs, and plenty of pressure reducing valves that allow us to control the pressure and avoid innumerous bursts that were visible at the beginning of the works. On the metering side and the commercial activities, we were probably on the biggest challenge of these 6 years. The downtown Kingston is known as a historical, beautiful place that has been for some time forgotten in a sense, and that area was the area where we put more energy and more attention, trying to turn around and bring all that consumers to bring them to NWC customers by consensus adopted by both parties of universal metering. And we saw enormous reduction in the usage of water by the SIV reduction of over 30% and an in-bill increase of 10% through the installation of 13,000 meters in part of these SCAs. Was the job perfect and it is completed? No. There is still some room for improvement in these areas. We still have plenty of meters, probably another 10 to 15,000 meters to be installed in this area. But this is an activity that we are studying together, and hopefully we can continue this marriage and continue to work towards the NRW reduction. The story is well designed by this graph that summarizes the beginning of the project. 1 year, almost 2 years in a constant upgrade in terms of pressure and hours of supply that led us to more NRW, around 130,000 cubic meters of water per day. And after that, through efficient leak detection, through a rapid leak repairs, to the installation of the pressure zones throughout the system, through the metering activities, we have been dropping and dropping and dropping. And this proudly shows today that we are below 70,000 cubic meters of water as of October 2021. And the project is completed. It just finished now in 23 of September. And we can congratulate ourselves for the brutal reduction of over 50,000 cubic meters of water per day of NRW reduction. Another view is on liters per connection per day, because it's also an important KPI. And we can see that we were above 1,000 liters per connection per day. And today we are around 500. Just to have a synopsis of what we have been doing, because KSA was so successful that we jointly agreed to continue our marriage and to extend our partnership to other areas of Jamaica. So NWC approached us with a situation that was problematic, which is the city of Portmore, where the losses were accounted of more than 60%. And it was also some challenges on the commercial side. So therefore, we agree in a structure similar to the others that we have been talking about, the audit, then 3 years of implementation and more 2 years of operation and maintenance. Again, in co-management, working end-to-end with NWC, with their staff and equipments, and with our supervision and management. And we expect, again, same co-management, better and faster results. We have already break down the city with some hydraulic modeling, as you can see on the right-hand side. Some of these areas there already have we already set the PZs, control the boundaries, and we have meters, bulk meters measuring what we are losing. We already have some effective reduction on the lower side, where you can see in green, which is called Elshire. We also established some step tests, understanding what are the preferred areas to do leak detection. We are improving the level of service of the system by increasing 3 hours of 3 meters pressure on the delivery, and also 30 minutes of improvement of level of service in terms of hours of supply per day. And we have hope that big expectations about the 18,000 meters that we will start to install commencing 2022, which will allow us to bring the reduction of losses expected to around 30% in the 5-year period. What can Miya say, or Miya Jamaica say? Thank you, Jamaica, for the wonderful moments, for the challenges that we had, the lessons learned, and that all was coupled with an international award that was given last year in a COVID difficult times, but we were awarded by these innovative partnership and these successes that we achieved together. And I'm extremely proud to be part of this, because I think it was thanking to Mark Barnett, thanking to Paul Fenner, for example, that are here watching this, that it was challenging. It was a lot of discussions, energy spending, but we reached the goals, and I think we can all enjoy that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alvaro. We've got 4 minutes left, so I've got some questions, but I've got one question first for Noam, and I need a 30-second to a 1-minute answer, please. And what it is, Noam, is that somebody's saying they have water, but they can't do their build collection. What is it they can do, or what can you advise them to do to get revenue that they're missing out on?
So first of all, there are basic things that need to happen in any water utility, which I would say the most basic are metering and a billing system. If that doesn't exist, it's going to be quite difficult to create an effective commercial management. If these two elements exist, which is something that many places have, and if not, can be deployed, and I must say, not in a very difficult way. A meter installation program is not a difficult program. If you want to couple that with latest communication technology, it can be more expensive and more difficult, but there's no need for most of utilities to do that. If you have that basis, and then you can improve your commercial management systems the same way you improve any other system. In Portugal, in our own utilities, we reach a collection rate of 99.9%. That's a combination of many measures. We have very effective and accurate billing, and all of that is coupled also with a lot of cooperation with the clients, and a lot of, I would say, teaching the clients and explaining their invoices, what are they getting and what are they paying, everything in a very fair and transparent way, which is critical to succeed in the process. If you want to learn further on these issues, feel free to approach us, and we can give you a very detailed analysis of that.
Okay, thank you, Noam. One question's come in for Alvaro, and we do sort of keep it down to 30 seconds now. What lessons have you learned from Kingston? What have you learned? What has happened there that you could do better, or you've come out with on successes?
I will say the biggest lesson is the turnaround that you need to do in your socially challenging areas, and how can you transmit the value of the water. There was a political information and sense that water was for free for so many years, and our biggest challenge as a team was to transform the mindset of people to understand that water is an utility so valuable as electricity or telecommunications and needs to be paid. And this was the biggest challenge that we encountered, and we had plenty of town hall meetings, plenty of communication with the especially the areas where we work in downtown Kingston, to try to transmit that value that water, yes, is life, but it's not for free. And this, when we started to hit the nail correctly, finally we started to have some turnaround, and people started to accept to be part of the system and not be illegally consuming or being on outside of the system. And this was really the biggest.
Okay, thank you very much. Our time is up. As you're aware, the Caribbean or the CWWA, we've set up a Caribbean water loss specialist group. We're always looking for members of that group. It's the water loss specialist group that have set this session up, thanks to CWWA. If you have any questions, and I'm sure you do have more questions, please get in touch with the organisers. They will put the questions through to myself, and I will forward them to Noam, Mario, and Alvaro, and the relevant people to get your questions answered. We had a fantastic session. We had 55 participants online. At some stage, we had far more than that. 3 excellent presentations, 3 excellent different case studies of how you can do things and the successes and the benefits and the rewards you can get from that. I'm sure you have lots of questions. So with that, I do thank everybody for participation. Please send lots and lots of questions in so we can answer the questions. And again, one last big thank you for the presenters and to Miya Water for sponsoring this event and sponsoring the conference on behalf of CWWA and the water loss industry. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.